What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirty Gem, back with another video for y'all. So today we are going into kind of revisiting an older leader. It got a little bit of support from the Set 7 releases, not like an entirely big amount, but I do think overall the leader and the archetype is actually like really strong in the current format that we're in with a lot of the tools that it gets that we'll get into. But today we're going to be looking at Clash of Fates Goku, the legendary Super Saiyan Goku, and the whole Kill Krillin engine and all that kind of good stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the list. Alright, so first up we've got our leader Son Goku and the legendary Super Saiyan Son Goku on the back. On his front side, he's an auto burst 2. Whenever he attacks, you can place 2 cards of your deck, put them in the drop area. If you do, you can choose 1 green card in your hand, place it in your drop area. If you do, draw 2 cards. So it's like Harudegarn in that way. We're drawing a lot of cards on our turn. We are bursting a lot, but that lets us actually thin the deck really nicely, which is really good. There's actually a couple cards that we prefer having in the drop as opposed to in play, because of what our leader does on the backside, so that's really nice for us as well. Whenever he awakens, he's an untapped 2, which is really good. On his backside, he's an auto sparking 5. Whenever he attacks, draw a card. And then if there is a Krillin in your drop area, he gets plus 5k and double strike. So ideally, every time we're swinging on the backside, we're swinging with a 20k double strike leader, which puts in a lot of pressure. It automatically takes away a combo piece that we don't have to worry about pitching, and all that kind of good stuff. Overall, I think it's just really powerful just to have a 20k and a double strike leader, just like right off the bat, is really nice. Moving on into the actual list, so first up we've got 4 Infernal Emperor Frieza. So this is a 1-drop 1k, or it's a 1-drop 10k. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose 1 card in life and add it to your hand. This is Self-Awakening. As of right now, I prefer these 1-drop just auto take a life cards as opposed to like the Newfound Power Son Gohan, which swings and you take a life and they gets plus 15, plus 10 in crit, which in a perfect situation, those are much better. But right now, Crisis Crusher is still like super dominant in the format. You're seeing it in a lot of decks main and a lot of side decks and everything like that. We don't have a lot of ways to interact with that. So having an out so we can still take a life whenever we need to, I think is really important for us. So until Crisis Crusher starts fading away, I still prefer playing these 1-drop, just auto take a life in majority of decks. Next up, we've got 4 Krillin Calling for Help. So this is from the Anniversary box. So he's a 1-drop 1 green, 4k permanent. If your leader card is a green Son Goku, and it's flipped to its back, increase this card's energy cost by 3, and this card gains blocker. And then auto, whenever you play this card, draw a card. So for a lot of portions of the game, this isn't like a super powerful card. It's a great just like a 1-drop draw card, so that makes it playable by itself. What makes this really good is once we awaken, he becomes a 4-drop blocker. Blocker is really important in the format that we're moving into. Being a 4k is relevant for some of the abilities that we have in the deck. It also makes him a little harder to deal with in terms of removing him and things like that. So all in all, a pretty solid card. Right. Next up, we've got 4 Urgent Aid Kami. So it's a 1-drop 1 green, 4k. Auto, whenever you play this card, draw a card, and then auto, once per turn, whenever your opponent switches energy to active mode using a non-awakened skill during their turn, choose up one of your opponent's energy and place it in his owner's drop area. So this is really good. It's just like auto energy manipulation hate. It's a really cheap card that we can just like kind of slam into the deck because it's a 1-cost draw card. So it's playable by that, and then it has an additional effect which makes it even more playable. Energy manipulation isn't like super prevalent in the format that we're in at the moment, but it's really nice to have kind of options against those. Obviously, it only works on your opponent's turn, but it keeps them from like extending their plays with like Sensu Beans and different things like that. So it's just really nice to have. Then next up, we've got 2 Double Impact Krillin. So it's a 2-drop 2 green, 10k. Auto, whenever you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 2 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So it's decent removal for 2 drops or less. It kills barrier, so it can kill some setup type cards. But more importantly for us, it's just a 0-5k Krillin, and the Krillin text is important. Next up, we've got 4 Fledgling Duo Son Gohan. It's a 2-drop 1 green, 5k with barrier, permanent. Reduce the energy cost of Krillin cards in your hand by 1. You must pay their specified cost. So if your Krillin costs like, if it's a 4-cost Krillin that costs like 2 green and 2 other, you still have to pay like 2 green and 1 other in order to play it. So it doesn't reduce the specified cost, which is still fine. These do stack, so if you're ever to get multiple of these in play, your Krillins would cost 2 less, still having to pay the specified cost. Usually we're only ever going to get 1 of these out in play. But we get one Krillin in particular that's really nice to start reducing his energy cost, which is good for us. And he has barriers, so he can just kind of sit there and just kind of hang out until his effect's needed, or kind of late game when we don't need it. He's just a free 5k combo. We can just start pitching off the board. Alright, next up we've got 4 Persistent Assault Krillin. So 4 drop 2 green, 15k with barrier, auto whenever you play this card, draw 1 card, and then permanent if your leader card is green or black and this card is in rest mode, your opponent's cards can't attack your leader card. So this is Deadly Defender, basically. The difference is that he's barrier all the time as opposed to just being in rest mode and getting barrier. This is one of the cards with the fledgling duo Son Gohan that gets the -1 out of his cost, so he costs 3. So having 3 draw a card is nice, and then whenever he's a 15k that swings, which is nice, so he applies pressure, and then he just keeps your opponent from attacking your leader. So it's a pseudo blocker in a lot of senses, but what's really important is that he's a 4-drop Krillin that forces them to attack into it, so it has to be killed in order to play something that we'll get into a little bit later. But overall, just a really strong card. There's a lot of matchups where just playing these and being able to prac these can really just extend the game longer than maybe your opponent intends. They have to find a way to get around this to really kind of get their strategies going, so really nice to have. Alright, next up we've got 4 Son Gohan Display of Strength. This is from the Anniversary box as well. It's a 4-drop 2 green, 19k auto. Whenever you play this card, draw 2 cards, and then activate main if your leader's green, choose 1 Piercing Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan from your hand and play it on top of this card. So this is really like the secondary engine of the deck. Getting into the Piercing Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is a really, really powerful card. And it was a card, you know, for the longest time it was almost unplayable because it was a 7-drop. The only way to get it out was evolving it for 6. This lets us get it out for 4 energy, which is incredibly powerful, especially for what that card does, which we'll get into a little bit, but just an overall really strong card. Next up we've got 2 Surprise Attack Frieza. It's a 4-drop 1 green, 15k crit, and then auto activate this skill when one of your opponent's battle cards is KO'd. If a Surprise Attack Frieza isn't in play, you can play it from your hand for free. You can only have 1 in play at a time. Just really good pressure. It's 15k crit that you can just play it for free, kind of swing in. It's really nice. Next up, we're moving into the final Showdown Son Goku. So it's a 5-drop 3 green, 25k double strike auto. Whenever a Krillin with energy cost of 4 or more in your battle area is KO'd, and there's not another Final Showdown, or you can just play this from your hand. You can only play 1 Final Showdown Son Goku per turn. And then he's got the auto whenever he comes into play. Choose up one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So this is a really great card overall. You're able to play it for free. So it's 5-drop 20k, or 5-drop 25k that you can just play for free with Double Strike, which is nice in and of itself. You can play it on your opponent's turn, because we've got the Blocker Krillin that once we're flipped becomes a 4-drop. We've got the Deadly Defender Krillin, which is always a 4-drop. So whenever one of those is KO'd, or you just play this, you pop something big, and now you got a 25k Double Striker, and now whatever their big bomb was for the turn is now dead. This gets rid of, the only thing it does nothing really stops this. Now that we don't have like Cold Bloodlust in the format, they can't, well, they have 1 of Cold Bloodlust, but so being able to interact with this is really difficult. None of the counterplay cards really deal with this, because it's a 5-drop, and it's a 25k, so it gets around a lot of those, the 2-drops like Denial of Hopes and things like that, so it's really strong. And like I said, with them not able to like regularly deal with our Krillins that we have out, whether it be the blockers or the Deadly Defenders, this is a threat that they always have to have in the back of their mind. Whenever they see you're playing Legendary Super Saiyan Goku and you have Krillins on board, this is something they always have to think about. If they forget about it and they just swing in like it was something big, you just, you know, block with the 1-drop Krillin, or they have to swing into the Deadly Defender, you let it die, you play this, you blow something up, and then you move in your turn with a big 25k Double Striker. Very, very strong. Next up, we've got 4 Piercing Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan. So this is a 7-drop, 2 green, 25k Double Strike. It evolves for 2 green and 4 other. Never going to evolve this card. Like I said, this is going on top of the Son Gohan Display of Strength. It is auto whenever you play this card and your opponent combos during their turn for the duration of that turn. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards in the battle area and combo area with energy costs of 3 or less and place them in the drop area. So basically what this means is once this comes out, your opponent's no longer able to super combo. They're not able to like cheap like 5k combos and everything like that. Everything just gets blown up. And it's every single time that they combo during the turn that you play this card. So he's a 25k Double Striker by himself, so he can kind of close out games that way. Really kind of the whole strategy is to On your opponent's turn, bring out the final showdown Son Goku, blow up something, now you have a 25k double striker. And then on your turn, going into the Piercing Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan, and now you've got two 25k double strikers plus your leader with double strike on the board. So now they're going to have to, they're putting in a really compromised situation where their super combos are ineffective. There are a few that still work, like Ancient Wisdom Guru and like the Pan super combo, but no one really plays that. So you're not really worried about the super combos, and now they can't just like cheaply combo. They have to commit like higher cost combo cards, which is going to start tapping down their energy. And eventually we're just going to wear them out, where they're just not going to be able to do something. If you catch in a situation where your opponent just doesn't have energy, you pretty much just win the game at this point, because there's nothing they can do aside from having to negate. So an incredibly way to just kind of finish out the game. We got this on like turn 4, which is really strong. Just a great way to kind of close out the game. Just a really fantastic card in general. Moving on into our super combos, we've got 4 Defending Father Paragus, best super combo in the game. So we're a green leader, so it's great access to us. It's a 0-10k all the time. If our life is at 4 or less, we combo with this card. We draw 2 cards and we choose one card from our hand and place it in our warp. Like I said, best super combo in the game. Digs through the deck really deep. Just really easy to start getting out of bad situations with this, and it starts really adding up quickly. Moving on into our extra cards. So first up, we've got 4 Feet Kamehameha. There's a 1-drop, 1 green. Activate battle. If your leader card is a green Son Goku, for the duration of the battle, it gets 15,000 power and critical. So this is really good for us. Like I said, on our backside of our leader, we're a 20k double striker. So whenever we activate this, now we become a 35k double strike crit, which makes it, again, incredibly hard to deal with, especially if we've got like the Piercing Gohan out. Now super combos are ineffective, different things like that. This is an activate battle, so if they choose not to negate, you can just slam this down and kind of blow them out. Defensively, it's a really good card for us too, because it's a 115k, which is really strong defensively if we ever need it. Just overall a really great, it's better offensively more than anything, but it also serves as a nice defensive tool, so great utility there. Next up, we've got 2 for the greater good. So it's a 1-drop, 1 green counterattack. If the card is green, negate the attack, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and energy cost of 1 or less, and KO it. And then permanent, if this card is in your drop area, you can activate it by paying its energy cost and removing it and 1 green card from your hand from the game. So majority of the time, this is just a 1-drop negate that kills something, which is nice. Later in the game, once it's in the drop area, it's a situation where we don't have to draw into the negates. As long as this is in the drop, we can just play it from the drop, which is really nice. By the fact that our leader is a burst leader, a lot of times we'll just burst this and it'll get in the drop. So it's a negate that's literally always there, as long as we have an energy and a card in our hand, which is really nice. You can only do it once per turn if you do the from the drop effect, so that's something to pay attention to. So having like multiple in there, and depending on that, it's not going to work out for you, but having one of these in the drop is just a great like safety measure, just a really great option for us. And then finally, we've got 4 Shocking Death Ball, just 1 cost 1 green, counterattack for leader's green to get the attack. Then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and cost 2 or less, and KO it. And then permanent Sparking 5, so if you have 5 cards in the drop, you can just play it from your hand and take a life instead of paying its energy cost, which is really nice. Probably outside of After Image, probably the best like pure actual like Sparking negate. Just overall, just an incredibly powerful card, especially with green. But anyway, so that is the list. Like I said, I do think the deck is positioned very well in the format. The 5-drop Goku that comes into play is incredibly hard to deal with. There's not a lot of things that can really interact with it anymore. You're not worried about Cult Bloodlust and all that kind of stuff, so if they're just swinging in and they have to start swinging at you eventually between your blockers and your deadly defender, this is going to be live, and you can just start blowing up their stuff and then moving into your turn with a big 25k double striker that's really hard to deal with. Especially, like I said, if you can combo it by going into the Piercing Super Saiyan 2 Gohan the turn after, you can really start closing out games pretty quickly with that. The deck, it does have its problems. Obviously, it's a burst leader, so you're, milling cards of the deck, so sometimes you just get unlucky there. Mill is unfortunate to it because we are a burst leader. Mill has kind of fallen off for the most part, so it's a little safer now to kind of bring this leader out. But I do think it has incredible synergy. There's a lot of really great stuff going on with the deck, and I do think it's primed to be in a pretty good position, probably the best that it's been since the release. A lot of new support's been really nice to it. But anyway, guys, that is it, and we will see y'all next time.